Welcome back to another episode of the Female Empowered Podcast, the second episode of 2025. And in a few short weeks, I will be crossing the 300 episode mark, which is amazing, which is crazy to think about that it's been 300 episodes already, but it's really, really exciting. So stick around because I think we're going to be doing some really exciting things to celebrate this milestone. I'm your host, Christa Gurka, and our conversation today, I think, is a great one because I think it's objective and I think it's something that most of us deal with in the boutique fitness and wellness industry, especially as owners, leaders, managers, etc. So basically, what we're going to talk about today is what an undertrained team is really costing your studio. And I'm going to give you some real numbers and real metrics from real businesses. And you're going to be shocked. I'm just going to tell you, because when I was doing the outline for this episode and I was looking over the data and I was reviewing the numbers just to make sure they were accurate, even I was flabbergasted and amazed. And I went through and I did this exercise, just redid it again for my business at Pilates in the Grove. And it's pretty accurate. And it's a lot of money that an undertrained team is costing you. And what I see a lot is businesses like ours, right? Female founders or female owners, and we're just trying to keep our head above water. And so what happens is we hire people because we need someone to perform a service, and either we don't know exactly what we're looking for, we're not sure what we should be looking for, and we're looking for the wrong skills, right? We're looking for maybe a great physical therapist or a great Pilates instructor. And those skills can be taught and developed over time, but what we can't teach is personality, professionalism, accountability, character. And so those are the kind of things that we should be looking for from the outset, and also setting clear expectations for our team. So what happens is usually we hire someone and we're just like, okay, go teach a class or go be a physical therapist. And we leave out because we don't either have time to do it or the energy to do it. The real training about how to be a good team player, how to excel, how to do more than is asked for. And then that leads to resentment and why are people not doing their job and why is it only me and yada yada yada. Well, you all know that. I'm not telling you anything new because I hear it all the time in our own mentorship programs. I hear it in my own head sometimes, and I hear it in for sure Facebook groups and the whatnot. So we as owners can control that by setting better training systems, better onboarding systems, being very objective with what our expectations are, and then continuously reviewing those metrics and making sure that the people on our team are meeting those metrics. Okay. So, what we're going to really talk about today is how one studio that I worked with probably 2 years ago now, I'm trying to think, now we're in 2025. We actually found that they were leaving over $500,000 on the table by the end by having a team that was not trained and not accountable. And I'm going to go through this case study during this episode, but it's really, really amazing to see what can happen when you plug the revenue leaks. Okay. And you optimize your schedule and you optimize your team and invest in them and develop them, and it can happen in a year. So in our previous episode, what I was really talking about was this doesn't happen in a month, but it can certainly happen in 8 to 12 months, right? And if this is your goal to plug the leaks and keep $500,000 in your business, then it's definitely something that you want to work towards each and every month. And the only way you know if you're getting there is if you track your metrics and you're very intentional about how to do it. All right. So I really want you to think about, how do I onboard my team in any role in your business, whether it be administrative, whether it be social media, marketing, client facing, instructor, therapist, virtual assistant, anything that's in your business. Okay. How are you training them? How are you setting them up for success? And what is for team development costing you? Okay. So let's talk first about like direct costs of training a team member. Okay. One might be initial certification or training costs. So, for example, everyone on our staff, at least client facing at Pilates in the Grove, everyone's a Pilates instructor. Whether they're teaching classes or not is different, but everyone has a Pilates certification. So, we have our own training program that's also approved by the Pilates, or really it's approved by the NCPT, which is the National Accreditation Exam. So, that costs us $5,000 to $6,000 to put someone through that program. Or maybe you are a pelvic health practice and you're going to send a therapist to maybe some Herman and Wallace training, or you're a clinic or a Pilates studio that specializes in scoliosis and you're going to send them to maybe Schroth training. All of these trainings cost upwards usually of like $4,000. And so that is an initial cost to you. The other cost is if you are doing the mentoring, if you yourself as owner or you have another clinician that's doing the mentoring, it's time away from their schedule. So they're not building their schedule because they're taking time to mentor. Okay. So I've always said this, it's going to cost you time or money. So if you have more time than money, you can do the mentoring yourself. And if you have more money than time, you can send them for mentoring or mentor them or have them go through an in-house training program. Okay. They also have you or the person training them, and they have a reduced booking capacity because you can't give them clients until they meet these expectations or meet these certain criteria. And so it takes longer to fill their schedule. And then you also usually have to spend, maybe you have an increase in marketing spend, okay, to get their schedule full. And this is a lot of times what happens. So business owners, and we've had this discussions in the inner circle recently where people, some of the owners are like, I think we're getting busier. I have this new person that I want to have on our team. Let's bring them in. And so they hire someone for full time, but they don't really have the clients yet. And this is what makes owners feel so stressed and overwhelmed, is because now they have this person that either, if they're paying them per patient, now they have this like stress and overwhelm of getting this person full because they're not getting paid. Or the flip side is they're paying them a salary and now them as studio is eating it. Okay. Because this person's not full. So it's again why it's good to have cash flow in your business so that that doesn't hurt you as much. And it's also good to understand these things and do projections in terms of, we expect this person to be filled or 80% utilization within 90 days, within 120 days, whatever that is. So you know the cost of what that's going to cost you, and can you basically afford it or not? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about real live numbers. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about some of the studios that we've worked with or that I've worked with my team. Um, and looking at real numbers. So one of the studios we worked with, this is a Pilates studio, a small. So I think they had six reformers, if I remember correctly, six, and we eventually got them to seven. They could do one class at a time and they could do one private at the same time. Okay. So this person, she brought someone in and it probably, we estimated, cost her around 8 to 10,000 to train this person, from what I was saying. Put them through the teacher training program, get them ready to be on the schedule, the owner's time away from the schedule to mentor her. Okay. So probably cost 8 to $10,000 for that. And now she's on the schedule. She's taking on new classes and she's doing private. The problem is this studio didn't have the marketing channels to bring all this new clientele in. So the owner, this was like her first hire, the owner had a full schedule. And then the owner was having problems like moving people off her schedule because of the same thing. You know, I'm going to just, it's our ego that says, oh, our people won't work with anyone else. Of course they will. They just need to be presented as it's a value add to work with someone else. They've been working with you for a long time. They know you, they like you. When you change them to somebody else, they feel like they're getting left behind. So it's all in um, how you handle it, the messaging, and how you can provide value for that person. So what's happening is now this person's losing revenue because they have another staff member and they're not really getting clients and there's no system to get new clients in the studio. And so then what ends up usually happening is the trainer leaves and then the studio owner's like, well, forget it. I'll just do it all myself. And now they bury themselves in work over and over again. So one of the things that we did with this business owner was we ran some really basic kind of organic marketing pushes, even if she was breaking even initially to get this trainer schedule full. So basically, what we were doing was doing a lot of referral incentives. We were doing some discounted drop in classes. We were doing some community based. We did some community classes where the teacher got more exposure to the clients, but also practice teaching. And then we made donations. And so there was a lot of things. So it was a 90-day plan. And within 90 days, this new instructor was at about 70% utilized. Okay. So basically, if we had done that 90 days before this first hire, there wouldn't have been as big of a gap there. So when you're getting ready to hire, okay. My recommendation usually is when your schedule, and that means the entire schedule or your schedule as an owner, wherever you are in your business, is about at 80% utilized, you start seeing wait lists. You start having nowhere to put people. Okay. That's the time to hire. And oftentimes, if we can get away with it, we try to hire people maybe part-time at first and grow their schedule. So there's lots of different resources we have in our inner circle training and our FitBiz Foundations program that talks about how you can kind of like back into a contract with people. So at the beginning, so maybe the first 30 days, they're getting a higher base salary, like a higher hourly salary and a lower per head salary. And then in the next 30 days, their base comes down and their per head goes up. And then the last 30 days, same thing until you get to like, they're at about 70 to 80% utilization and they're really getting paid per head. So per private session or per Pilates group class, and they're getting paid per head. So you're always staying in a beneficial, sustainable profit margin for you, the studio. All right. So we work through these with different calculators with our team, especially in the inner circle, where we can really decipher for them exactly how many clients or visits or classes this new person needs to teach for them to first break even. So there's basically what they're teaching is covering their salary, and then eventually to get to the profit margin that is desired, okay, for the business. So one of the things you want to look at if there is a utilization gap, so if there is a gap between the available hours you have and clients, okay, one of the things is you want to look at what your schedule looks like. So do you have 3, 4, 5 people available on Thursday and Friday, which means you have, let's say each of them has 10 available slots, then you have 40 slots open, but Monday and Tuesday you only have one person, right? Can you differentiate that? Like, I used to work in the restaurant industry when I was in college and high school and even in grad school. And so one of the things we used to look at, I was a hostess initially in high school, and then I eventually became like a bartender and a server. And so what you look at is like the hostess can't overload one section, right? Like if you overload one server and give them 4 tables and then the other people have 0 or 1, it doesn't work well for your entire system. So the idea would be that everyone starts sharing the load, right? So you don't want to have one person that's working, fully utilized and another person that only has 1 or 2 people. You need to start pushing people over to that schedule. New people go onto that schedule. Returning people go onto that schedule. So it's a way that you start to share the clients among everybody, right? The other thing, do you have inefficient booking systems? Does somebody have to get on a call with you in order to book? That is inefficient in today's day and time. I recommend everyone should be able to book independently of talking to someone. And I know there's a lot of coaches out there that talk about, no, you have to have a discovery call. You have to talk to them. Don't put your prices on the schedule. And that's fine. That's valid in their opinion. But when you start to get bigger, you don't have time to talk to all these people, nor do your admin people have time to talk to all these people, right? You want to have the capacity to one, book the people that are ready to book and pay you money. So there should be a book now button. Now, if somebody wants to talk to you, great. Call us. We'll answer all your questions. But there should always be a way to book people. There should be a way to get a process to get people off a wait list or a cancellation list and automate this as much as possible. The last thing is really, are you looking at a marketing system that's working? Are you getting consistent leads and consistent quality leads in the door? Or are you just kind of guessing and hoping people just keep coming in? All right. We want to look at the marketing system. Are we getting the right marketing system? Do we have a good system for client distribution? That means filling everyone's schedule. Do we have a good system for people to book efficiently and independently? Okay. So one of the things that we do is I use a lot different trackers and calculators and stuff with our clients in the inner circle. And so if you are watching on YouTube, you will see me now. I am going to share my screen. Okay. And I'm here with you the calculator that I use with people. Okay. So we use this team utilization calculator. Okay. And then, so basically what I do is we calculate team size. Okay. So if my team, for example, I have 5 instructors and they each work 10 hours a week. So let's do 15. 5 instructors or 5 PTs at 15 hours a week. Let's take meetings out because most of you don't have meetings. 0. And let's say you can see, are they training and how many admin hours? So usually our admin hours are 1 admin hour a week. And let's see where they're at, right? So your results here, you can have your team utilize 80% of the time, which gives you 60 billable hours. Okay. So if you're if you're doing $100 a session or $100 a PT session and you have 60 billable hours, you're going to be able to get $6,000. Okay. Now, if they have no training hours, you go up to 70. Okay. And then 1 admin hour, non-billable hour a week. If you have 2 training hours, right? If you have 3 training hours, so now you can look at how much utilization you can have. So then this is what you can expect to bill, but now you want to get them up to that 66% utilization. Okay. So if you're not watching and you're just listening to me look at the calculator, that will be very confusing for you. But if you want, you can always shoot over to my YouTube channel. It's Christa Gurka, and you can check it out there. Okay. So now let's move on and let's talk about another student. This is the big one. Okay. This young woman, Lisa, who had a Pilates studio, was a little bit bigger. I think there was 8 reformers. There was 2 private rooms. They also did physical therapy as well. So it was a very similar model to Pilates in the Grove, 1 location. And so she had 4 different instructors in addition to herself. Okay. But each of them was only operating at about a 40 to 50% utilization. And they had no accountability. They were not trying to fill their schedule. They were basically showing up to work and teaching and then leaving. So there was no expectations for them to do anything else except teach. No client follow-up, no client experience, no quality control, no, we use different methods in terms of like getting your people a schedule again, booking them out for the entire year or for at least a quarter. So there was none of that. Okay. And so if we actually did it, if she was charging about $100 for a private session, and that is, so when you're losing 50% utilization, okay, that was actually about $48,000 in monthly revenue that she was missing or leaving on the table by these people not being full. Okay. So if you take that 50,000 almost and then spread it out over the year, this is where you get over $500,000 of missed opportunities. Okay. So let's even say let's say these people are at four, they each have, let's say they each have 20 hours available to work. Part-time people, not even full-time people. So let's say you have four, they have 20 hours to work and they're only at 10. So that's each of them is missing 10 hours that they're available, that they're not being full. Okay. And you charge $100 a private session or a PT visit, right? That's $1,000 a week. Okay. Times 52 weeks a year. This is $52,000. $52,000 that you're leaving on the table. That it's costing you by not having a fully developed team. Actually, that's going to be times four, because if you have four of them, okay, $200,000. So if you have four instructors that are only at 50% of their utilization, you're leaving $200,000 on the table at the end of the year. 200,000. Even if you get them to go from 50% to 70%, you're going to gain about $100,000. So this is why it's really important to be able to look at, are you developing your team properly? Are you looking at benchmarks and frameworks for how you distribute clients throughout your system, throughout your team, and throughout your schedule? Are you optimizing your schedule for peak times and having the right amount of team members available at that time? Are you having a marketing system that's always funneling new people into the studio so that new instructors can get filled more quickly? Are your pricing strategies optimized? Are your packages optimized? Are your memberships optimized? So these are all ways that you as an owner can look at things objectively. Feelings are not facts, not with feelings, okay? And start to implement these things slowly over time in 2025. So by the end of the year, all of the financial leaks in your system will be plugged. Okay. So I'm going to give you a little bit of homework if you want. You don't have to do it, right? But action takers are the ones that are successful. So the first thing I want you to do is calculate the true available hours every week on your schedule. So that means calculate when all of the hours that your team is available to see clients. And your studio is open, obviously. So how many hours are they available? How many hours? Okay. So we'll cross the board. How many hours are available to clients in the week? Then you want to look at client distribution. Does one person have 40 and the other person has 10? Why is that happening? Is there a gap in their performance, in their expertise? What is happening? Is there a gap in the scheduling system? Does the front desk, if you have an administrator, understand how to spread people out? Okay. And then you want to look at what are the most popular times. So in our studio, Pilates in the Grove, from 7 to 1 are our busiest times. From 1 to 4, it kind of slows down. And then from 4 to 7, we get busier again, but still not as busy as the mornings. From 7 to 1 are busy, busy, busy. We have full classes and we usually have 2 or 3 privates going on at one time. So how can you optimize the schedule? Even sometimes with dynamic pricing or things like that, those are all strategies that you can look into. But how can you look at your schedule and say to myself, how do I make this better? All right. Now, then you want to look at your systems if you have any. So what about your booking platform? Can it be optimized? Is there a huge barrier to entry for your customers to get on the schedule? And some of you might not know it because you haven't tried to schedule as a client in a long time. So I'm going to tell you what you want to do is go in as a client, or even better, ask somebody else that doesn't go to your studio to try to set up an appointment for themselves. Let them tell you how difficult or how fabulous it is. All right. Because I'll guarantee a lot of you will be shocked at how difficult it is to get on your schedule. Okay, so one, you have to lower the barrier to entry for clients to be able to schedule themselves. Two, you want to look at how are you training your team? What are you tracking and how are you articulating your expectations for that team member? Are they responsible for filling their class themselves? Maybe, maybe not. Are they responsible for following up? What strategies do you have in place to keep their schedules full? How are you assessing their performance? And where can you find the kink in the chain that people either are not coming back or you're not getting the right type of clients? Okay. Then you have to look at your marketing. Is your marketing aligned with your ideal customer? Is your marketing aligned to get the person whose schedule needs filling filled, right? Are you attracting the right type of client? So if this client if this instructor needs to fill 4 o'clock classes or 4 o'clock or after school times, you need to be marketing to a specific type of person. So is that aligned? And then you need to look at your finances. Is your pricing structure correct? Do you have the right memberships and packages designed? Okay. And how are you compensating? We review this all the time. Every quarter, every year, we review our pricing strategy. We review our compensation strategy. We look to make sure that we're staying on track because sometimes things go sideways all the time. All right. So I'm going to leave you with calculating your utilization rate and where you think the holes are. Okay. I try to identify your revenue leakage points. Like, where is revenue seeping out of your business? Assess the gaps in your team development. And I know some of you might be like, well, what if I spend all this money and time on them and then they leave? Well, I say, what if you don't spend all this money and time and they stay and you're leaking money with them there? The latter is worse. So train them and give them an environment they never want to leave. Okay. And then create a plan. Okay. Create a plan. Now, if you want to get help with this, I would invite you to apply for the Beyond the Movement Inner Circle. That is my high touch invitation only mastermind where we have 10 female business owners. So you have to be female. You have to own a brick and mortar boutique fitness, healthcare, wellness business. And you have to be generating $200,000 or more in your annual revenue with a team with interest to grow. It's a lot of things. Female, brick and mortar, boutique fitness, healthcare, wellness, $200,000 in annual revenue with team, and you want to grow and systemize. Okay. So 5 requirements. I believe at the time of this recording, we have 1 available space left. The other 9 have already been taken. We will open enrollment again in July. If you missed the enrollment period or you didn't make it in this time, you can still fill out an application and get yourself on the wait list for our next enrollment, which is July. Okay. July is our next enrollment. You can also reach out to me for individual one-off coaching between now and then, if you'd like. Okay. So I want you just to understand, okay, if it costs you $10,000 to train someone, but you leave these utilization gaps on your schedule, you could be losing or leaving $200,000 or more on your schedule. Okay. You could be leaving all of this, right? So I really just want you to look at, even if you're like, I don't know what to do about it, just do these audits. Okay. And I'm going to give you a free resource. All you have to do to get this resource is go to Instagram. I'm at Christa Gurka on Instagram. And if you DM me resources, I will send you, I have an onboarding team development checklist for both Pilates or yoga instructors and one for physical therapists. So if you're interested in at least reviewing your team development process, okay, and you go to Instagram at Christa Gurka, shoot me a DM and just hit resources. If you'd like to tell me what you thought about this episode, I would love it. But all you have to do is do resources, and I will share with you my onboarding system for either instructors or physical therapists. And that's all you have to do. All right. If you're interested in looking up the mentorship opportunities, go ahead and visit my website, www.christagurka.com/mentorship. And if nothing else, subscribe to this podcast and give you lots and lots of valuable information. And again, as we approach my 300th episode, we'll be doing some fun things then. And until next time, ladies, bye for now.